Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 9, text number 15. Tvam Nitya Mukta Parishuddha Vibuddha Atma Kutastha Adi Purusho Bhagavam Stri Adisha Yad Buddhi Avastithim Akhanditaya Swadrishtya Drashtastitha Vadimakho Vetirikta Ase. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. My Lord, your unbroken transcendental glance. My Lord, by your unbroken transcendental glance, you are the supreme witness of all stages of intellectual activities. You are eternally liberated. Your existence is situated in pure goodness, and you are existent in the super soul without change. You are the original personality of Godhead, full with 6 opulences, and you are eternally master of the 3 modes of material nature. Thus, you are always different from the ordinary living entities. As Lord Vishnu, you maintain all the affairs of the entire universe, and yet you stand aloof and are the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Purport. An atheistic argument against the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead states that if God, the Supreme Person, appears and disappears and sleeps and awakens, then what is the difference between God and the living entity? Dhruva Maharaj is very carefully distinguishing the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from that of the living entities. Living entity. Dhruva Maharaj is carefully, He points out the following differences. The Lord is eternally liberated. Whenever He appears, even within this material world, He is never entangled by the 3 modes of material nature. He is therefore known as Tri Adisha, the master of the 3 modes of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Daiviyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhuratya. The living entities are all entangled in the 3 modes of material nature. The external energy of the Lord is very strong, but the Lord, as the master of the 3 modes of material nature, is ever liberated from the action and reaction of those modes. He therefore is uncontaminated as stated in Ishopanishad. The contamination of material world does not affect the Supreme Godhead. Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita that those who are rascals and fools think of him as an ordinary human being, not knowing his Parambhavam. Parambhavam refers to his being always transcendentally situated. Material contamination cannot affect him. Another difference between the Lord and the living entity is that a living entity is always in darkness, even though he may be situated in the mode of goodness. Still, there are still so many things which are unknown to him. But it is not the same for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows past, present and future and everything that is happening in everyone's heart. Bhagavad Gita confirms this Vedaham Samataitani. The Lord is not the part of the soul. He is the unchangeable Supreme Soul. And the living entities are his parts and parcels. The living entity is forced to appear in the material world under the direction of Daivi Maya. But when the Lord appears, he comes by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. Besides that, a living entity is within the time of past, present and future. His life has a beginning, a birth, and in the conditioned state, his life ends with death. The Lord is Adi Purusha, the original person. In Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma offers his respect to Adi Purusha Govinda, the original person who has no beginning, whereas the creation of this material world has a beginning. The Vedanta says, Janmadhyasya yataha. Everything is born from the Supreme, but the Supreme has no birth. He has all the 6 opulences in full, and beyond comparison. He is a master of the material nature. His intelligence is not broken under any circumstances. And he stands aloof, although he is the maintainer of the whole creation. As stated in the Vedas, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The Lord is the supreme maintainer. Living entities are meant to serve him by offering sacrifices, for he is a rightful enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Everyone, therefore, should engage himself in devotion service of the Lord with his life, his riches, his intelligence, and his words. This is the original constitutional position of the living entities. One should never compare the sleeping of an ordinary living entity to the sleeping of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the causal ocean. There is no stage at which the living entity can compare to the Supreme Person. The Mayavadi philosophers, being unable to adjust all this, come to the conclusion of impersonalism or voidism. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So, Dhruva Maharaj's appreciation, glorification of the qualities of the Supreme Lord who has come before him. He says that by your unbroken transcendental glance, your supreme witness of all stages of intellectual activities, the Lord is seated in everybody's heart and he is witnessing all the activities, psychic activities, our entire psychology, thinking, feeling, willing. The Lord is witnessing. You are eternally liberated. The Lord, even though his glance is in this material world, in terms of witnessing all the activities in this material world, all the psychological activities of all the living entities. But it is described here that he is eternally liberated. Normally, can you watch a movie without getting involved? You cannot. Lord can. So Lord is watching each of our... How many movies he is watching? Unlimited movies in unlimited minds. And is uninvolved. But yes, he is fully aware of how we are involved. He sees how we are involved, but he is not involved. Your existence is situated in pure goodness, and you are existent in the super soul without change. Because the super soul is Shirodaksha Vishnu, the Lord who is lying on the Kshira ocean, reflects himself into every heart. He is not lying in Akshira in your heart. Shirodaksha Vishnu is in your heart means Shirodaksha Vishnu, who is lying in the ocean of Shira, within this Brahmanda, is reflected in the heart of every jiva. Prabhupada gives the example of how the sun, one sun, is reflected in different water bodies. But in the case of the sun, when the sun is reflected, the reflection is different from the sun. But when Shirodaksha Vishnu reflects himself in the heart of every living entity, it is not like reflection of the sun which is different from the sun. He is Shirodaksha himself. So as a person he is situated in every heart, in every living entity. Yesterday we discussed how without his glance, which is his reflection, without his glance upon the living entities, It is not possible for the living entities to even experience this material world. Even 5 senses you cannot experience. What is sense of smell, touch, all these things you cannot experience without the presence of the super soul in our heart. Because in reality, in the material element, there is no taste, smell, touch, all these things are not there. Because these things are all a facilitation by the Supreme Lord for us to weave the illusion of life thinking that I am this body. That the central point of all illusion, the seed of all illusion is the ahankara, I am this body. So, the Lord is present, therefore we are able to weave this illusion. We are not independent even to create an illusion in our minds. You can put A and B together, but you need A and B from somewhere. So our mental concoction means we put A and B together. Like that. Alphabets you put together, then you make sentences, then you make a story, you make a novel. Is it not? But the entire thing is, if you take the entire book, it is only letters from A to Z. So in a similar way, there are fundamental sense of the ability to see, sight, smell, touch, etc. Think, feel, will, do, all these things are the alphabets. And with this we weave our illusions, our illusory world centered around my body, and create our own stories. Why do you watch a movie? For rasa. So for creating rasas, we weave our whole story in our mind. But that we are not independent. We are dependent upon the 3 modes of material nature, what we experience. So all this facilitation is also done because of the presence of the super soul in our heart. So the living entity can never be independent. In other, the living entity means one's part and parcel. You understand that is a part and parcel of Krishna. They are inseparable. Only in our consciousness we have forgotten God. But we are inseparable. Our existence cannot be separate from Him, even in the material world. You are the original personality of Godhead, full with 6 opulences. So ordinary living entities. He is also always after the rasa of 6 opulences. Why? Because he is part and parcel of God. He is part and parcel of the super soul. And what is the difference, super soul and soul? Soul has also got the intrinsic quality for appreciating the 6 opulences. Person, Vyakti, person means the rasas of these 6 opulences are there. But the Supreme Lord is the Bhagavan, is a possessor of all these opulences to unlimited quantities. And the living entity can also possess, by the grace of the Lord, different quantities of these opulences. The Lord can simultaneously possess all these opulences to infinite quantities. The living entity can possess by His grace, based on law of karma in the material world, which is law of karma means based on his own karma, he can possess beauty, little beauty, then he may not have knowledge. Lord simultaneously possesses all in his fullness. Somebody may be beautiful here, he may not be knowledgeable. He may not be rich. He may not be famous. He may not have quality of detachment. He may not be strong. But when it comes to the Lord, simultaneously, we should be able to meditate on the Lord's qualities in this way. He simultaneously, Bhagavan, is a possessor of all opulences. And where is he? He's in my heart. There is a person residing in my heart who is infinite reservoir of all these opulences. The most beautiful, the most powerful, the most rich. Why is he richest? Simply you're imagining, is it? Why is he richest? He is richest because he owns everything. Including you and me and every living entity. Matter, animate, inanimate, everything, he is the owner. So can there be anybody more rich than him? All planets belong to him. The sky belongs to him. All elements belong to him. He is the owner of everything. He is the source of everything. Not that he acquired ownership from some time. Before that he was not the owner. Because everything has come from him, constitutionally everything, ownership is his. Ishavasya idam sarvam. He is the owner of everything. So that Lord is being appreciated by Dhruva Maharaj. Lord, full with 6 opulences. And you are eternally the master of the 3 modes of material nature. And this is very important. Because the Lord is also a living entity, I am also a living entity. I am also a living entity, Lord is also a living entity. Just like Prabhupada says, you can understand God by understanding the soul, understanding us as sample God. All our propensities, all our qualities, all these things, all our aspirations, all that, by studying that, you can understand what is the nature of the Purna. A particle of gold, by analyzing the quality of gold, you can also understand what is the big bar of gold. Same thing, same qualities. Quantity is different. So, living entity in this particular aspect, the living entity is prone to be fallible. Fallible means he can forget himself. He can forget who he is. And he can get cheated by something else as I am. This whole bodily concept of life is due to the living entity's intrinsic nature to fall down. Whereas, immediately contrasting that, Dhruva Maharaj is saying, you are infallible. You are eternally the master of the 3 modes of material nature. What makes one fall down? 3 modes of material nature. The 3 modes of material nature that makes the living entity fall down from pure goodness. Vishuddha Sattva. Originally, I am of the same quality as the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is situated in my heart in Vishuddha Sattva, consciousness. So my consciousness is also Vishuddha Sattva. But it gets covered. So every ordinary living entity we always see as subject to 3 modes of material nature. But here is a person who is in my heart, who is now standing before me. You are never affected by the 3 modes of material nature. You are Tri Adisha. You are the master of the 3 modes of material nature. So how can the 3 modes of material nature subjugate you? Because 3 modes of material nature are working under your order. under your order for satisfying the living entities' independent existence and enjoyment. That is the function of the three modes of material nature, as per one's karma. Gunakala karma, acting on every living entity. Therefore, every living entity is happy, is suffering or enjoying distress and happiness. Material world is full of happiness and distress, dualities. So the so-called happiness, it is only so-called happiness because it is not eternal happiness. So even though we may say material world there is happiness, but that happiness is only a vocabulary for you to understand what could be eternal happiness. What could be eternal happiness? If you taste sweet rice with sand, at least you will know there is sand and there is sweet rice. So in the same way, especially in the human form of life, is a great opportunity for learning the vocabulary of love, learning the vocabulary of the five rasas, Dasi rasa, Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, Madhurya rasa, all these things. Shanta rasa, human form of life, we can appreciate all these things. Very easy, that is why it is said from the human form of life to jump into Vaikuntha, the world of perfect rasas. Because your psyche can be prepared. You just have to shift everything, focus from Ahankara to Krishna. Turn all our relationship with Krishna as a center. So you are always different from ordinary living entities. As Lord Vishnu, you maintain all the affairs of the entire universe. And yet you stand aloof. The Lord, as a Shirodaksha Vishnu, is also the super soul, not only of this bodies. He is the super soul of the entire Brahmanda. So as a super soul, you may stand aloof. They are the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. The material world also has a meaning, has an absolute meaning in the Lord's creation. When you say it is illusion, it is illusion. No, it is a real world. A real world that facilitates the living entities' minds, material minds, to weave illusion for each one to ourselves. The world itself is not illusion. The world in our head is the illusion. So becoming liberated from the three modes of material nature, immediately even if we are in this body, we become liberated. Liberation means what? Real liberation means freedom from desire for self-centered enjoyment. Once we give up our hope that from material world I cannot get anything, simple common sense, matter does not contain pleasure at all. What am I trying to squeeze out? It is only cheating. My own pleasure potency I am hoping and I am thinking I am enjoying. Like the camel eating thorns. It drinks its own blood, mixed. Its own blood is a real taste. Dry thorns have no taste. But what do the dry thorns do? They prick the palate. And it takes out blood from the camel itself. Nicely mixes it. And then the camel enjoys the mixture. Actually, when it's enjoying the mixture also, what is the real taste it is enjoying? Its own blood. Taste of its own blood. But whom is he giving credit to? Thorns. Thorns are tasty. In the same way, in the material world, our own pleasure potency is what Maya extracts. If you don't have hope that there is pleasure somewhere, you will not experience pleasure. If you don't have a belief, you cannot experience pleasure. You can experience your own pleasure, Atma Ananda. The soul can experience its own pleasure. I am eternal servant of Krishna. I am ever liberated. I never die. I am not this bag of flesh and bones. I am a loving servant of the Lord. I exist in eternal love of the Lord. These are called Atmanandas. This is the actual Brahmananda. I am eternal, alone is Brahmananda. But if you start feeling that my Lord is protecting me, my Lord is my maintainer, my Lord is my provider, my Lord is my eternal object of love, we can go on thinking like this. This is the highest meditation. Krishna conscious happiness and pleasure in serving Him. So that is completely different from the belief that I will get pleasure from sense objects in this material world. I will get pleasure from any situation in this material world. Sense object. What are the thorns in this material world? Sense objects. Situations. We imagine situation, this is pleasurable. When you come to that situation, immediately you release your pleasure potency. Oh, I hope, yes, there is pleasure here. I take. Moment you say there is pleasure here, okay, you can eat your own spit. This camel example is very, very powerful example of Bhagavatam. Very powerful. You analyze deeply, you understand the futility of how we are getting cheated. And why I should give credit to the thorns? Let me drink my own blood now, directly. That is called Atmananda. Why I should be happy by help of some other sense object? Let me be happy myself. Because anyway, if I am happy by sense object, it is only by reflecting my own pleasure potency. So the Lord quality is, He does not, there is absolutely no pleasure in this matter. Matter is inert. Only Chinmaya Vastu has got pleasure. Chinmaya means conscious. Conscious means person. So by meditating upon the Lord in the heart in this particular manner, what happens? The living entity, by meditating, he also develops these qualities of the Lord. Only by being attracted to the supreme qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is it possible for us to overcome the attractions of Maya. You know, how to get over Maya, how to avoid Maya, how to get over Maya. Big question for us, devotee. Okay, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. No, one universal answer is there. Get attracted to Krishna. For that, you have to read Prabhupada's book to get attracted to Krishna. You have to get attracted to Krishna means you have to understand His glories. One who does not read Prabhupada's book cannot come out of Maya. Unless one chants very, very zero offense, nicely chanting and hearing, then the glories of the Lord already the Atma knows. Because Lord is the eternal relative of the soul. He knows about his relationship. He knows the glories of the Lord. Amsha knows his relationship with the Purna. It's forgotten. But then if you read Prabhupada's books, it can accelerate. So reading plus chanting will evoke, will awaken our attraction for Krishna. Without getting attracted to Krishna, it is not possible by jnana, by any other process, not possible to overcome the three modes of material nature. To overcome attraction to sense objects is not possible. Only by comparative truth. Comparing Krishna's attraction with all other attraction. All other attractions are sparks. Krishna is the sun. You go on analyzing the spark, you will get entangled in the spark. You have to shift our attention to Krishna, spark becomes insignificant. What am I tackling Maya for? Maya itself goes away. Where is the mind is filled with Krishna? Krishna consciousness. That's what Prabhupada says. Krishna consciousness. If our consciousness Any questions? If our consciousness is filled with Krishna, then that is the only way the living entity can counter Maya. Because the very first instance, why Maya has captured us? Because we left our Krishna consciousness. From our consciousness, we took away Krishna. I am Amsha of Krishna. I cannot take away Krishna out of my consciousness. I means Krishna has to be there. Without Krishna means Maya. So therefore, Kirtaniya Sadahari, chant always Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. The way to become Krishna conscious easily, because our mind is not pure, to continuously think about Krishna, Krishna's leelas, Krishna's wonderful qualities, all these things. No, mind is distracted. The Lord is very merciful. Simply, always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, in the form of Krishna's Nama Avatara, if you keep always in touch with Nama Avatara, then Maya can be easily countered. Easily countered. But we have to learn how to offenselessly respect the Lord when He visits us. He descends upon us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is why it is said, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva Gatiran. If you don't chant Hare Krishna, you can't understand this Bhagavatam. The first you have to get the mercy of the Namapa by serving Namapa, associating with the Shakti Avasya Nama, the ocean of Satchidananda. We get purified. And then we learn how to appreciate the wonderful Bhaktivedanta purports, We might read. In the beginning, as newcomers, we have to read. We read. But the same purports, after you chant for several years, when you read, they are nectar. They are nectar. Every line is a nectar. Because Prabhupada said, every line of my book is my transcendental ecstasy. It is his expression of his love of God. So Prabhupada is utilizing this verse to explain a lot about the difference between the two souls, soul and the super soul. Mayavadis, they equate the soul with the super soul. So everything in the Shastra is about talking about soul and the super soul. So very easily you take out all those things and you do one equation. Soul is equal to super soul. So the same scriptures are their scriptures. Bhagavatam is their scripture also. Whatever now our description of the super soul, all those things, they will, if you take a Mayavadi purport, they will see that Dhruva Maharaj is glorifying that I am you. And this is my nature. My nature is, I am above three modes of material nature. I am this, I am that, I am ever liberated, all these things. But we also say, yes, soul is ever liberated. Only in illusion he is fallen. In substance, nobody can contaminate. In substance, soul is what is soul? It is Amsha of Krishna, pure. Part and parcel of Krishna means it is pure. Soul is pure, pure Vastu. But in its consciousness, it is fallen. And another important thing is, he is saying that he is a maintainer of all the living entities. This is very important. That is why yesterday also we discussed how first we have to surrender to Krishna. Before love of God, it is surrender. In surrender means surrender to the Lord in the heart. There cannot be love of God without surrendering. Only when we surrender, then we know our constitutional relationship with Krishna. That I am dependent, I am maintained, I am protected, provided. Before we understand or before we develop relationship with Krishna in other rasas, first we have to develop our relationship with Krishna as a supreme Father of all living entities. That's why you surrender. I strayed away from you. Now I surrender unto you. You are my maintainer. Sometimes devotees misunderstand. They say, no, pure bhakti means we should not think that, protection from the Lord, maintenance from the Lord. No, nobody is saying you ask maintenance, ask protection. Recognize. Even a pure devotee recognizes that he is being maintained by the Lord. He is being protected by the Lord. He has faith. He is not asking for protection. He knows I am protected. But I have to recognize that I am not protecting myself. I am not safe because of myself. I am safe because I have been protected by the Lord. I have been maintained by the Lord. No, I should not ask anything from the Lord because only I myself should earn and serve the Lord. No, one should understand that the Paramatma, the Super Soul, Lord in the heart, the Lord of the universe, Shirodaksha Vishnu, provides you all that you need for your preaching Krishna consciousness. You don't ask Krishna, I need money to preach you. But you can ask Super Soul, I'm going out for collection. Please help me. Help me serve Krishna. It's a wonderful experience. Therefore Krishna says, in all such devotion service, we execute that by depending upon me and are under my protection. Which means, we should learn how to depend upon the super soul in all our efforts to preach Krishna consciousness. Because we are preaching Krishna consciousness in the material world. We are preaching His glories in the material world. In the material world, the three Adisha are the owner, maintainer, everything is who? The Lord in the heart. And Lord in the heart is Krishna Himself. So you learn how to materially depend upon Paramatma Krishna in order to serve Bhagavan Krishna. Yes.
Harishna Prabhu. You mentioned that the Lord is unaffected by the millions of movies which are there in everybody's minds. So similarly, there is one living entity, Jiva, that is Yamaraj, who is a pure devotee, witnessing all the millions of activities of the Jivas and completely lying unaffected.
Completely?
Lying unaffected as a pure devotee and as a Mahajana. And he is also fully busy with his activities. It is mentioned that, he was cursed away as a Vidura so that he'll get some time to preach. Yeah. So, in our Kanishta stage, okay, yeah. So if we are busy, we don't remember what we are, the transcendental aspect of that particular action. In our day-to-day activities, if you are busy with, interacting with, staff or anybody like that, we don't simultaneously think about the transcendental aspect. Maybe end of the day or the next day, we may reflect and this thing. But here, Yamaraj is so busy and dealing with all sinful people, but not affected.
Because he is pure devotee.
Yeah. What is a learning for us, how to...
See, just like we chant Hare Krishna with our foreground mind, but our background mind is not there. We don't think of the transcendental, that the Nama is transcendental. Nama is pleased with me, nothing. Mechanically we chant. So just like in Japa, there is pure chanting and there is offensive chanting. Similarly, in our practical devotion service also, you can do pure devotion service and mixed devotion service. In pure devotion service, the devotee is always remembering in the background love for Krishna, that it is an offering to Krishna. And is depending upon Krishna. Just like forget about Krishna, we don't even remember Paramatma. So what we are doing in the beginning stages of devotion service is called mixed devotion service. When we all have aspiration to preach, we want to do that, we want to build this thing, that thing, all those things, we get excited, right? It's all dovetailing our gunas. It's all dovetailing. Somebody by his guna is such that I don't want to achieve anything in life. Simple fellow. He comes to Krishna consciousness. He is not excited about big temple, this thing. He is not excited. Doesn't mean that he has got less Krishna consciousness. As long as he is chanting properly, as long as whatever is his dovetailing is full gunas, guna, kala, karma, whatever he's got, he should not utilize his karma phala, his karma shakti, he cannot utilize for maya. All our karma phala, the body is there, means there is a karma phala. You are born with certain things. All that you have to offer to the Lord. While offering to the Lord, that has to be The quality of that has to increase. Quality of dovetailing, when it increases, it becomes pure devotional service. How can the quality of chanting increase? By background. Keeping our background mind full of Krishna. Right? In the same way, our background mind, where does the background mind get the content? From the subconscious. Where does the subconscious get the content? From contemplation. Correct? Where is the material for contemplation coming from? Purports, Bhaktivedanta purports, Bhagavatam, scriptures, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. The starting point is this. From there you take, just like Nityam Bhagavata Seva, every day we have to hear, so that every day we have background consciousness when we go out to preach. So you preaching, sometimes we say preaching, we say no. First is we have to preach to ourselves. You are the horse. You cannot get obsessed with preaching. It simply means your material ambitions, you are dovetailing. If you are obsessed with preaching, without caring for your quality of your chanting, without caring for reading Prabhupada's books, then it is quite a dangerous thing. And then one gets convinced oneself, no, I got so much enthusiasm, I want to do this, I do that all afterwards. First do to yourself first. Not that you have to stop that, but the sense of importance should go where? At least equal importance you give. At least equal importance you should give to sadhana, to reading all these things, and you should give at least equal importance. So the biggest mistake sometimes we do is that we ignore the importance of, because that is more purer. Whereas here dovetailing, you get commission, because it is easy. Just like I always say, when you do practical service, you don't sleep. But when you chant, you sleep. Because in chanting, you don't get commission. When you do some practical service, your karmic propensities are all dovetailed. So we have to give its own due, you have to hold it. You should not think that, I have joined ISKCON to do. First you joined ISKCON to save yourself. And then you can automatically, if you save yourself, if you do your sadhana properly, you will get inspiration. I have to serve my Guru. So without good sadhana, if somebody wants to say, I want to do, there is a question mark there. What is the inspiration? And then if you have that kind of, if you have a good sadhana as a background, you will do 10 times 100 times than what you do. So-called you want to do big. You will never succeed, because Krishna will hold it. For some time, how much is your karmic strength? You lose it. The karmic strength also depends upon Kala. Some good time comes, you will be enthusiastic. Because in your horoscope it will be there, this time some good enthusiasm. Suddenly something like, depressed. Because you are dependent on Karma Shakti. But if you are reading Prabhupada's book, we are understanding Krishna consciousness, I am working as a servant, the consciousness as a servant, steady. External results, up and down, doesn't matter. Even result doesn't come, Krishna has a lesson to teach me. Yes. Vendaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.